So I know it's been a while since I made a video. Obviously, if you watch the other videos that come up on this channel, there's been a lot of traveling over the past summer. My dog here as well too. So there wasn't really a ton of time for car stuff, but it's winter time and I want to change that. So we have some upcoming work that I'm going to be doing. And I realized some of the things I haven't actually really shot video of. I've been slowly collecting parts, particularly for the NSX. I actually haven't driven that vehicle at all this past summer, this past year, because going into it, and I think I explained in a previous video, I bought that car knowing that it's going to require a decent amount of work in terms of maintenance. There was a lot of things coming up in terms of the timing belt service, and then it kind of just spiraled into other things, knowing that, oh, this is going to be an engine out service. Why not look at doing some trans stuff? So I'll get into some of those details later on. But one of the main things is wheels and tires on that car. So I previously, when I bought the car, I don't know if I ever showed this in a video because it might have ever shown up, but it previously had a set of Work Seeker wheels. I'll put a picture here just so you can kind of see what that wheel actually looked like, but it wasn't really my style. So shortly after I bought the spacers, or what do I do to get that fitment that I want? And then I started seeing a lot of people that I knew running aggressive 16, 17 inch wheel staggered setups, and so with a Meteor tire, and I think that just looked really good. Those of you that know, the earlier NSXs from the factory, they came with a 15 and a 16 stagger. So yes, very small wheels. But to kind of almost stay true to that, I wanted to get something that would pay kind of to that homage. So decided to sell the old set of 1718 CE28s, and I didn't go the T37 route, went with something slightly different. But let me show you what that is. And boom, there we have it. So as you can see, these are CE28s. But yeah, so on the right side here, that's one of the fronts, the other front's right there. But I've been using this basically as decor next to my little working area for the past while. I'm getting tires actually put on these tomorrow. Just to give you guys some context, it is winter here where I live in Calgary, but I figured I wanted to kind of have the car to a point where it's ready to go next summer. So I kind of wanted to make sure that these wheels fit on the car that I like, make any suspension adjustments that I need to, and then get to all the other things that the NSX needs. But let's get into the wheels themselves. The reason that I really like this set here is that, as you can see, both the front and the rear setup are concave. So a lot of times, and this was particular on my old CE28s, especially was like on the front, the rears were concave as well for my old set, but the fronts being a weaker offset, the face of it actually was bowed out, so it was convex, and I wanted that concave look. And it seemed like for the T37s, unless you went kind of the custom route, to have stock body fitting 16 and 17, most of the 16-inch wheels were actually flat-faced, and the rear were concave. But I was like, it'd be really cool to have a concave setup for both front and rear, and you can do that with the CEs. So as you can see, this pair in the front, so this spec-wise is a 16-inch with a 8.5 width and a +30 offset. And the rear is a 17-inch with a 9.5 width and a 15 offset. I'm pretty sure it's 15. The last set I had was a same width but a +22 offset, so slightly more aggressive in the front. And these are a lot more aggressive than the old CEs that I had on the car, but happen to have the same exact width and offset of the Work Seeker wheels that were on the car. So I think fitment-wise, the car should be pretty good. I'm going to be getting tires on it tomorrow so I can show how it looks with tires on the setup. So tire size wise, I went with a 215/45 16 in the front and a 255/40 17 in the rear. And I've seen people run a 225/45 in the front as well with this type of 16/17, and that looks really good because the tire is a bit wider, it's a bit meatier, but I wanted to kind of stay true to what the actual OEM sizes were in terms of tire diameter, and running this setup that I went with, so the 215/45 in the front and 255/40 in the rear, that actually keeps it more true to the OEM diameters and shouldn't have any interference with the traction control system that sometimes you run into if you play with the diameters a bit too much. So yeah, gonna be getting the tires mounted tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be test fitting the wheels on, so that'll be a continuation of this video. But yeah, I'm really stoked to have these on the car. Also have a set of, if it'll focus, yeah, bronze flat type center caps from Volk. So I think on the S2000, in my opinion, having kind of the exposed center hole looks okay because it's a bit more raw. Like, it's like, okay, this is lightweight, race car-ish, whatever you want to call it. But on the NSX, I kind of wanted to go for a cleaner look. So I think having the center cap there will just kind of clean things up a bit and finish off the look. The one thing that kind of bugged me with this setup, and you'll see it especially when they're side by side. So you can see here on the right side with the front, the left side being the rear, there is actually a color difference. And why is that? The main thing is production. So if we look, it'll be a little bit weird to see, but this front pair, the year is actually a 2015, and the rear pair, if I recall, is a 2010. So there's an age difference, obviously, 5 years. So the rears could have been maybe a little bit weathered in terms of that finish being potentially a little bit compromised. And also there are little variations between the bronze color depending on production year as well that I find. I think it is documented here and there online as well. But the one thing that I have seen is that if you ceramic coat old finishes, it does bring back that kind of luster. I believe the 16-inch pair, like, in my opinion, it looks really good, essentially almost brand new. So I'm hoping that doing a ceramic coat on the 17-inch wheels will kind of bring that luster back and make it more of a uniform finish. So hopefully that's the case. Okay, so it's the next day and we got tires on, and here they are on the car. Sorry, apologies, a little bit dark. But as you can see, rear, so in terms of tires, I think I mentioned this before, but the front I went with a 215/45 16, rear's a 255/40 17, and I went with Falken RT-660s. Surprisingly, in this size combo, there actually isn't a ton of tires available. And it just seemed like the Falcons were a good balance of basically affordability and also having good, decent street performance as well too. I'm still torn if I really want to take this car out on the track, but now having, I guess, 200 treadwear tires, it almost kind of feels like maybe that's in the cards in the future. But yeah, so starting off in the rear here, fitment wise, previously the CE28s I had on this car were same 9.5 width, but those were a 22 offset and these are 15. So they do poke out 7 mil more. And as you can see right now, there's a bit of gap. I don't know why the car isn't settling. Normally it actually sits lower than this, so it might just because it's not been driven in so long, and it was jacked up for quite a while as well too. So I have a feeling that when I do drive it, it's gonna actually settle. But as you can see, just on the side profile, there is just some poke out there. So I think I'm gonna have to maybe dial in a bit more negative camber just to get the fitment exactly where I want, because yeah, it's a little bit further out than I would necessarily like. But the front looks pretty bang on. Steering wheel, I think, is just slightly off center, but as you can see, ride height wise, we're pretty decent. Looks like the top of the tire is essentially kind of oh, sorry. Yeah, flush with where the edge of the fender is. Might consider going a little bit lower, but yeah, and then in terms of fitment, it's pretty, like there's just a slight amount of poke, but nothing too excessive. So I think, like, again, if we can dial in a little bit more negative camber, I think I might, just to get that fitment on there. But yeah, super stoked how the car looks right now. Sorry, I think my lens is probably not wide enough to show, oh, actually kind of, almost, the full car. But yeah, there it is. The wheels do look really dark on camera for some reason right now. Even in photos I took, it shows up darker. I mean, my garage doesn't have the greatest lighting, so that might be it. But honestly, pretty excited that the wheel and tire setup for the NSX is now finally complete. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I'm gonna give a shout out to Robert. His Instagram handle is Robert NSX, or more commonly known as Mexi Racer. He was the one that helped me source these wheels. So, like I mentioned before, it's really common to see the more aggressive stock body T37s in the 1617, and I had reached out to him, and then we started talking about CEs, and here we are. So CEs in OG bronze. I'm pretty stoked at how this looks. It's funny because my old CEs were also OG bronze as well, but just the fitment in the front was a little bit lacking. But now that we have great fitment in the rear and the front, pretty excited about that. So yeah, just wanted to show you guys how it looks on the NSX. Hopefully next spring, after suspension is kind of more dialed in with the alignment and everything, that I can show you kind of a better representation of how the car actually sits. But I just wanted to throw these on there, quick test fit. My garage isn't heated, it is insulated, but it does get quite cold in here. So I'm actually gonna take these off, throw them inside the house where your track tire should belong. But yeah, let me know kind of what your thoughts are, how you like the look of these wheels and tires on the NSX. As you can see, S2000 here is currently in disassembly. Keen-eyed viewers will note that I don't have the rear diffuser on, side skirts aren't on, and there's no exhaust on the car right now. But I'll give an update on the S2000 in terms of what I have going on this winter, in terms of kind of changing it to how I like it. But yeah, in the meantime, there's some work going on there. And again, more work to be done on the NSX. This thing needs a decent amount of work. Most of it I actually won't be doing myself because I do not have the time or capability or the tools to do it. So sometimes you gotta draw the line in terms of, let's leave it to the professionals. But look forward to some more NSX content. I do have a few other things, hint, I guess, wing, and then just some other little bits here and there that I'm gonna be doing to the car as well, in addition over this winter to all the maintenance work that's going on. But yeah, really stoked that this car's finally almost sitting the way that it's gonna be like, and kind of my dream NSX spec is coming together as well. But yeah, look forward to the next either NSX or S2000 video, and thank you for watching, and catch you in the next one.